Good morning, ramblers. We are heading out to another day of Yellowstone. So we've already had a couple days here, but we spent one whole day doing the lower loop. The lower loop was fantastic. We were able to see a couple different animals. We enjoyed Old Faithful, we enjoyed Grand Prismatic, and today we're gonna head the upper loop. So the upper loop, we're gonna have the Grand Canyon of Yellowstone, a beautiful waterfall. Hopefully we see a bunch more animals, but the secret is get out the door early. Get through that gate early in the morning. So our goal today is 7 a.m. We're only about 5 minutes behind, we're not too bad. But no later than 8 is smart because the animals are out when it's colder and in the morning and in the evening. And you get through the crowds and all the people parked on the side of the road. So here we go, we're heading out for another morning in Yellowstone. Poor Deb, she's in the back of my Jeep.
Okay, ramblers, we're heading east from the west gate to our first stop, Gibbon Falls, on a northwest piece of the lower loop before we get to our upper loop junction.
A little chillier.
Yes, it dropped from 70s to 45 today.
Wow, look at this canyon.
Well, that's a nice first water feature of the day, huh?
Yeah, that's a beautiful waterfall.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's just too bad that it's 45 degrees out right now. Actually, no, I still think it's 41. I think it's 41.
But I think we're what, 7,000, 8,000 feet up?
Yeah, we can't win them all, you know? It can't always be 75 degrees.
Since we're from the Pacific Northwest, we're waterproof. You have to do things in the rain or else you're never going to get anything done.
We're actually in a winter storm advisory today. It's showing we may possibly get 1 to 2 inches of snow tonight. And so we're gonna try to leave a little later tomorrow to head to the Tetons because we might be dealing with snow and we didn't think we would be this early. So it's gonna be an exciting adventure, let me tell you.
Continuing from Gibbon Falls, we travel just a few minutes north to a small turnout not to be missed for Beryl Spring.
Kind of sounds scary, doesn't
My
it?
natural reaction is to go that way.
And get out of
Away
here.
from here, yeah.
I mean, it is like, that's a major steam. This is louder than anything we saw yesterday almost, right? I mean, it seems like it's almost louder than Old Faithful. It's louder than, it's crazy. So once again, we got the guide along, and he tells you where to pull over, where to stop, what to see. I'm glad we got it because we may not have stopped here. This is really cool. It's kind of nerve-wracking because you feel like at any moment it's just gonna blow and all the rocks and everything, which happened here in Yellowstone about a month ago. And when you look at this, you think that it's just gonna explode at any moment. It just seems like there's a lot of pressure backed up. It's crazy. Don't skip Beryl Spring. Wow, I'm glad we stopped there. That was kind of interesting. That was a little different than anything we saw yesterday. And yeah, I would definitely, I'm glad we stopped there, aren't you?
Yeah, I am too.
Any moment, it was kind of like,
It was
gonna blow.
Yeah, it was a steady vent.
Yeah, I mean, and you feel like, oh my gosh, this thing's gonna go.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. I'm glad we stopped there.
Artist Paint Pots will be the next stop a few miles from Beryl Spring. Here we will go for a short hike to view the mud pots.
You can just hear it boiling. So it's another boiling pot stop. And I have to say, another really neat stop. The walkway is great. It's a nice little tiny hike. It's just about 0.6 miles up to this top, and then it'll be 0.6 miles back. And wow, look at that. Wow. And I can hear the bubbling paint pots as I'm standing over here. So we're gonna get a little closer and see this. These boiling pots, every once in a while they'll splatter really high and you're like trying to make sure it doesn't get too close to you. Yeah, I've never seen anything like this. This is pretty cool. So definitely don't miss any of these boiling pot areas. They're It was an easy walk. It took us 5 to 10 minutes to walk up here, and then we'll walk back, but pretty neat to see.
Norris Geyser Basin will be another short hike and mark the start of our journey along the northern loop.
5 minutes.
No.
Maybe 15, how's that?
Okay.
Porcelain is beautiful this morning. We're getting a little bit of sunlight. It should brighten up down there. If you go through the museum, get some nice exhibits on what you're looking at. And then down to the observation deck. When you're on the deck and look down, you'll see a left. Follow it around clockwise to Sunday Geyser, Porcelain Springs, and back.
Okay.
So clockwise, then you won't have to climb back up those big hills. And then if you're feeling good, you can go back to the deck and go down into the back basin after that.
All right.
All right.
We're game. We're ready to go. Thank you. We appreciate it. All boiling and bubbling and hot.
I know. And stanky.
And smelly, yes.
Yeah.
Smelly for sure.
Something exciting.
The Great Basin.
Yeah.
On the Great Basin right now. It looks like this is just like about a mile and a half loop.
Yeah, it's about a mile loop. You stay on the path, stay on the deck, don't get off the path.
Stay on the path. That's what I always say, stay on the path.
Stay on the path.
So we're looking at a lot more thermal activity, more steam vents, more
They
boiling
got
area.
fumaroles, pots, ponds.
Yep. A neat little area once again. The guide told us we should stop here and check it out.
Yeah.
And look at that, it goes uphill, a little bit of exercise. Porcelain Springs, another not miss here. Wow. So another stop that I'm so glad we stopped at. So when you get to that basin along this north trail and it tells you to pull over, do it. Telling you, that guide that we got, we're only on our second day exploring all of Yellowstone, and then we still have this app. Thank goodness Deb grabbed that app for us all to go to Tetons next.
Right now, we're going to jet right up to Mammoth Hot Springs, specifically the upper terrace, as it will be the first stop coming from the south.
Live report from the moon. We just landed. Safe touchdown.
It definitely does look like it's you're on another planet, I would say.
Canary Spring.
Yeah.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah. It's so white. I don't even know if this will represent showing how, but it's just beautiful. Most of these walks are 10 to 20 minute walks, but they actually do take you to stops that are something you would not normally see.
Yeah, so this is the upper terrace of the Mammoth Hot Springs. We stopped before we get to, we're going north on the loop, the northern loop, and this is the first stop before we get to the Mammoth Hot Springs.
It's the start. It's the warm up to the Mammoth Hot Springs. Here we go.
There are a few more stops along the way before we get to the lower terrace of Mammoth Hot Springs. It's getting a little late in the day and parking for the visitor center is difficult to come by, but we managed to find one with a little perseverance.
So we are right in the middle of Mammoth Hot Springs now. This is the Mammoth Hot Springs Hotel here. There's restaurants, dining, terrace grill. Mammoth Hot Springs are right over here, and there was a whole bunch of elk when we arrived. There is a herd of elk all laying around. Big old bull elk. And then his little family and a bunch of little ones all hanging out, eating grass right here on the side. First thing we see when we get here to Mammoth Hot Springs. And then there's Mammoth Hot Springs. So when we're riding along, listening to the advice of the guide along, he said at least stop here at Liberty Cap, take a picture, and check that out. So here's Liberty Cap. In the middle of Mammoth Hot Springs.
Yeah, this is the lower tier of the Mammoth Hot Springs. We were just right up above earlier looking down to see here, and this is down below.
Yep, so now we're at the bottom of it,
Yeah.
checking it out, and boy, there is a lot of colors.
Yeah, beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Oh, it's sun. Oh, that only lasted for a second.
Yeah.
Only lasted for a
So,
second.
yeah.
The sun just came across and shined, and everything glistened along here, which the guy in the guide mentioned that, and everybody enjoyed that moment of sunshine. Oh boy. Dad's gonna get another stamp. Here we go.
There it is.
Good job, buddy.
Yeah, good job.
You got your stamp. All done. Got your stamp. Ooh, Ron, come here real quick.
Leaving Mammoth Hot Springs, we are on our way to Canyon Village to view the upper falls before we visit Artist Point. Not much further down the road, we'll be at our final stop, Artist Point.
So we are now at
Artist Point.
We're now at Artist Point and getting tired.
We're
Getting
very
tired and hungry.
You really need like a 7-hour day, probably 8 or 9 if you wanted to spend time everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's just like,
Yeah, I think, I think about 4 or 5 hours each day with Yellowstone. Drive to some area, and do it. This is a long day.
we decided to have a rest day in between, which now I'm really questioning that.
Yeah, maybe we should have went to the park.
What did you think of Artist Point?
That was probably one of the best views of the park so far.
Yes, that's my
Yeah.
favorite spot. I knew
Yeah.
it would be.
Yeah, spectacular. You can stand out on this, this outcrop, whatever it is, and you can see several directions.
To me, it's one of my favorite spots here. I mean, Old Faithful was great. That's
Yeah.
good too, but I was really excited to see this view and see this beautiful waterfall. And I can see why they call it the Grand Canyon of Yellowstone.
Yep.
Great name for it.
Beautiful.
I loved it.
Yeah, beautiful, gorgeous.
Yeah, it was my favorite. I wish it was nicer weather, and I wish we would have started here because I think I could have spent a long time here.
Yeah.
Yellowstone did not disappoint me. I thought it was amazing. We saw a lot of elk. We saw a lot of buffalo. We unfortunately didn't see a bear, a moose, or a wolf. Those were also on our list.
Some of the scenery I did not know was here. The artist viewpoint from the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone.
That was my favorite.
Was truly spectacular. The waterfalls were just tremendous. And coming from the Pacific Northwest down the Columbia Gorge, we see a lot of waterfalls, and these were beautiful. These are gorgeous.
Yeah, it's hard to impress us with waterfalls, but I gotta say that Grand Canyon of Yellowstone, that waterfall was amazing. So I'm really happy we did that. We are glad we stayed here. This is probably one of the closest RV parks to the west entrance, but you still have an hour to an hour and a half to get to the big hitters, but you're seeing wildlife on your way and have other little stops. I would say get that guide.
It was the Guide Along Gypsy
Guide Along.
app.
It's just called Guide Along,
Yeah.
but definitely get that. It's fun, and we got the one, Deb got the one that covers Yellowstone and Grand Tetons. I just love having that. He gives you a lot of tips. Start early. We started at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yesterday when you seen us do the North Loop, that was from 7 a.m. to probably about 3 p.m. and we've seen maybe 30% of all there is to see on that northern loop, and it took us about 8 hours, just from the West Yellow, or from the from our RV park back, and so really allow yourself a lot of time, or many multiple days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We broke it up into 2 days. We did the upper loop one day, the lower loop another day. It really is a full day adventure, so make sure you have plenty of time. I'd say perfect is if you could give yourself 3 or 4 full days. That might be more perfect,
Yeah.
but we got it done in 2 whole days.
Yeah, and break the loops up. You don't have to do the entire loop one day, the north or the south loop, but yeah, it was a great time.
We had a great time. This town was wonderful. I hope we put a lot of notes and showed you. There was lots of great restaurants. We had an awesome happy hour every day at the Yellowstone Beer Company. That was a great happy hour. The beers were fantastic. We loved the pizza place we went to. The service was phenomenal. The buffalo place was great. And with that chicken fried steak is what we had at the buffalo fried steak. Bison fried.
Yeah, it was bison.
I don't know. But anyway, all the food was fantastic. We're sharing that with you. There's lots to do in this town, a beautiful town. And we are heading now on our way to the Grand Tetons. So make sure you hit like, subscribe, become a Rambler, follow us to the Grand Tetons. We got a lot more to share with you.
All right, Ramblers, let's get rambling.